For thousands of years, biblical prophecy described kingdoms rising over the earth with terrifying power. Empires that moved swiftly, empires that dominated trade, empires that shaped nations far beyond their borders. But today, one question continues to divide prophecy researchers. Where is the modern Western superpower? Where is the nation whose military spans the globe? Where is the economy that still anchors international finance? Where is the civilization whose technology, media, intelligence systems, corporations, and military infrastructure influence nearly every corner of the earth? Some believe America has no major prophetic role. Others believe the role exists, but has been misunderstood. Not because prophecy failed to describe modern power, but because prophecy speaks through symbols: beasts, wings, merchants, mountains, horns, eagles. Tonight, we investigate whether the architecture of modern global dominance aligns with prophetic imagery in ways previous generations could never fully understand. Not through sensationalism, not through blind certainty, but through geopolitics, economics, military reality, symbolism, and scripture. And by the end, you may see familiar prophetic imagery very differently. Before discussing prophecy, we first need to establish something simpler. What nation currently possesses the greatest combined influence on Earth? In 2026, the United States remains the world's largest economy by nominal GDP, estimated above $32 trillion. Its financial markets influence investment systems worldwide. Its currency still dominates global reserves and international trade settlements. Meanwhile, American military expenditure remains larger than the next several nations combined. The United States maintains global naval reach, long-range strike capability, worldwide surveillance infrastructure, extensive intelligence networks, cyber warfare capability, advanced aerospace systems, and military partnerships across multiple continents. But modern dominance is not simply military. That is what makes this era historically unique. American influence also extends through technology, entertainment, social media, artificial intelligence, banking systems, telecommunications, semiconductor infrastructure, cloud computing, global shipping security, reserve currency systems. Previous empires controlled territory. Modern power controls systems, and systems create dependency. Today, global markets react to decisions made in Washington. International trade flows through financial structures heavily influenced by the US dollar. Conflicts across the world are monitored through American satellites, intelligence systems, and military logistics. Even nations attempting to resist American influence still operate inside an international framework America helped shape after World War II. This does not mean America controls the entire world. It does mean the current international order remains heavily influenced by American infrastructure, and that reality becomes important when examining prophetic symbolism. The symbol of the United States is the eagle. That alone proves nothing. Many civilizations throughout history used eagle imagery. Rome used it, empires used it, military powers used it. So the argument cannot simply be, America uses an eagle, therefore prophecy about eagles must mean America. That would be circular reasoning. The real question is different. What qualities does eagle imagery represent in Scripture? And do those qualities resemble the structure of modern global dominance? Throughout the Bible, eagle imagery is repeatedly associated with speed, elevation, long-range reach, power descending from above, sharp vision, rapid conquest, sudden movement across great distances. In Deuteronomy, invading powers arrive swiftly as the eagle flies. Jeremiah describes nations descending like eagles. Habakkuk compares military invasion to eagle speed. Ezekiel uses eagle imagery in geopolitical symbolism. These passages were originally written in ancient contexts, but something changes when modern readers examine them through the lens of technological civilization. For most of history, no empire literally ruled from the sky. Today, global dominance increasingly operates through aerial and orbital systems, stealth bombers, aircraft carriers, satellite surveillance, missile systems, reconnaissance drones, cyber infrastructure, space-based communications. For the first time in history, a civilization possesses true global reach from above. And the nation most associated with that capability also publicly identifies itself through eagle symbolism. That does not prove prophecy, but it creates a convergence worth examining. One of the most difficult problems in modern prophecy interpretation is explaining the apparent absence of America. Traditional end times discussions often focus on Russia, China, Iran, Israel, Europe, the beast system, Babylon. But the dominant Western superpower is often strangely unclear. That raises a major question. How could the most globally influential nation of the modern era have no meaningful role in the culmination of world events? Several explanations have been proposed. Some believe America collapses before the final prophetic period. Others believe it becomes absorbed into a broader international system. Others argue prophecy focuses only on the Mediterranean and Middle East regions. But another possibility exists. What if prophecy does include modern superpower structures without using modern political names? Ancient prophecy communicates symbolically because the audience existed thousands of years before modern nation-states. Scripture describes systems through images: beasts, wings, merchants, cities, mountains, horns. So expecting prophecy to directly say United States of America may misunderstand how prophetic literature functions. The better question becomes, would the characteristics of a modern global superpower resemble the symbolic systems described in prophecy? And increasingly, the answer appears worth investigating. The modern world is interconnected economically in ways ancient civilizations could never imagine. A banking crisis in one nation can ripple across continents within hours. Currency instability spreads instantly. Supply chains connect dozens of nations simultaneously. Global markets react in real time. This matters because Revelation describes a world system deeply connected through commerce, wealth, luxury, shipping, and international trade. The imagery centers heavily on merchants and economic dependence. For centuries, readers struggled to imagine how one system could influence the entire world simultaneously. Today, that no longer sounds impossible. The US dollar remains central to global reserve systems. American markets influence international investment. American sanctions can isolate nations economically. American technology corporations shape communications worldwide. Again, this does not automatically identify America as Babylon, but it explains why many researchers continue exploring parallels between modern globalization and Revelation's commercial imagery, especially because modern economic power is no longer purely national. It is systemic. And systemic power is exactly what makes the modern age different from previous empires. Another prophetic theme that feels increasingly modern is global observation. Previous civilizations could not monitor humanity at scale. Modern civilization can. Satellite systems track movement globally. Artificial intelligence processes enormous amounts of information. Digital communication leaves permanent data trails. Financial systems monitor transactions. Governments and corporations collect unprecedented amounts of behavioral information. For the first time in human history, technological civilization possesses the infrastructure for large-scale global surveillance. And much of that infrastructure emerged from Western technological systems heavily tied to American development. The significance is not merely political, it is civilizational. The world is becoming increasingly centralized, interconnected, and digitally dependent. That reality changes how modern readers interpret prophetic imagery involving commerce, communication, coordination, and control. What once sounded impossible now sounds technologically feasible. But history reveals something important. Dominance often creates vulnerability. The larger systems become, the more fragile they can grow. Despite extraordinary influence, the United States also faces major structural pressures: massive national debt, political polarization, manufacturing dependency, internal distrust, cyber vulnerability, geopolitical competition, cultural fragmentation. And history repeatedly shows that empires rarely recognize decline while living through it. Rome believed itself permanent. Britain once controlled enormous portions of the world. The Soviet Union appeared immovable until suddenly it was not. This does not mean America is collapsing tomorrow, but it does remind us that no empire remains dominant forever. Prophecy repeatedly warns against assuming human systems are eternal, and that warning feels increasingly relevant in an age built upon global dependence. Responsible interpretation requires caution. No biblical verse explicitly states, "The eagle represents America." Anyone claiming certainty goes beyond the text. But symbolism works through patterns. The lion represented kingdoms. The bear represented powers. The dragon represented empires and spiritual authority. Prophetic literature often describes realities through symbolic characteristics rather than modern terminology. That means symbolism should be evaluated through convergence, not one isolated detail, not one symbol alone, but multiple overlapping characteristics: global reach, power from above, economic influence, worldwide projection, systemic dominance, a civilization associated publicly with eagle imagery. Individually, those observations prove little. Together, they create a pattern many researchers find difficult to dismiss. Whether or not one believes America fulfills any prophetic symbolism, one reality is undeniable. Human civilization is entering a new phase. Artificial intelligence, digital currencies, autonomous warfare, predictive algorithms, global surveillance systems, space militarization, cyber conflict. The world is becoming increasingly centralized and technologically integrated. And for the first time in history, humanity possesses systems capable of influencing nearly the entire planet simultaneously. That alone makes modern civilization historically unprecedented, which is why ancient prophetic imagery suddenly feels less abstract to many people. The architecture of global power now exists at a scale previous generations could barely imagine. Every empire in history believed its dominance would continue. Egypt, Babylon, Persia, Rome, Britain, each reshaped the world. Each appeared unstoppable, and each eventually changed. The real question is not whether modern global power exists. It clearly does. The real question is whether prophecy foresaw a final age defined by interconnected systems, worldwide commerce, centralized influence, and unprecedented technological reach. If so, then modern civilization may represent something historically unique, a civilization capable of projecting power across the entire Earth, economically, militarily, digitally, culturally. And perhaps that is why eagle imagery resonates so strongly with modern readers. Not because one symbol proves everything, but because the structure of modern dominance increasingly resembles the characteristics associated with soaring imperial power. Power from above, rapid reach, global influence, eyes over the earth. Whether symbolic or coincidental, the parallels remain difficult to ignore. But prophecy also carries a warning. No human system lasts forever. No empire escapes history, and no civilization, regardless of power, remains above collapse indefinitely. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And if you want to go even deeper into these mysteries, click one of the videos on your screen now and keep watching. I'll see you in the next one.